Hi, everyone. My name is Deborah Kala. I was born and raised in the Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa, and I currently live in Los Angeles, California. I moved here about 7 years ago. And I thank you for watching me as today I am going to reflect on my childhood, where I grew up, and how was it like growing up as a PK, which is a pastor's kid or preacher's kid, and also my parents' expectations. So I hope you enjoy. I got my bachelor's degree in business finance from California State University of Los Angeles in 2019. And I also got my certificate in management and event planning from California State University of Dominguez Hills in 2017. I am also working on getting my master's degree in family therapy and marriage counseling. One of the pros of growing up in Africa for me is really that sense of responsibility, that sense of caring for each other. You know that saying that it takes a village to raise a child? This is very true in Africa. It's a real experience. A child knows that it doesn't matter if they're at home or outside. Anyone who sees them misbehave, they have the right to correct them. And that's a good thing that I appreciate about my culture, because then the child understands that it's about the environment. It's the environment they live in. It's not just at home, dad or mom, that they don't like me, they hate me, they're against me. No, it's everyone around me who actually wants me to succeed and wants my good. So the whole city is involved in raising that child and making sure that that child is disciplined. So that's really something that I appreciate and I really admire from my culture. One of the cons that I personally have observed, especially after talking with my friends, is that parenting in Africa is very about dignity and honor. This is really something big, family. It's all about the honor of the family, the reputation of the family, meaning the children are the image of their parents. When you see children that are well educated, you know that their parents are good people. And I know some of you can remember that, as you grow up, you have a friend, and then dad or mom says, who is that friend? Who are his parents or their parents? I don't know them. I don't trust them. Or I know their family. I don't. So it's really about the image that you portray of your family. And because of that, I honestly believe that parents are so focused on disciplining their children that they don't realize when their children are growing up that they need to shift the atmosphere, meaning to make it more cool for the children, because now that they are teenagers or they become adults, they are almost becoming like their parents. So they need to feel comfortable to talk about certain subjects. And then yes, one more thing is the taboo subjects. In Africa, there's so many taboo subjects that even children, as they become adults, they don't feel at ease or comfortable to talk about those subjects with their parents. And I really wish that that will change, because if you don't get information from your parents, you're going to go and look for it elsewhere. Especially for curious children like me, that's what we do. So that's one thing that I just don't appreciate. I'm grateful to God for my parents, parents that know God, parents that fear God, parents that serves God, and then parents that showed me God's way, because that's the best gift that they could ever give me. But being a pastor's kid is tough. Kudos to all those PKs, and not just PKs, but all those children that are children of a public figure, because I believe that we have something in common. Being a child of a public figure, it's hard because you are at the spotlights. Every eye is on you. Everyone wants to know about your life. Everyone has something to say about you. So that's not something easy. But now the difference is that public figure, depending on what domain or what field, some they get to have the right to hide their wives or their children, but as religious leaders, specifically pastors, I mean, there's no way you will go to a church and then have the pastor preach at the pulpit and you never see his wife or never see his children. I mean, that's really suspicious, and especially when you know that that pastor is married. So some way, somehow, they cannot hide their wives, they cannot hide their children, and they cannot really have a 100% private life. So the pastor's wife and pastor's kids are exposed all the time. And as I said, it's not easy. You go through a lack of identity. What I mean by that is everything you do, everything you are, is based on who your parents are. Basically, you are living in your parents' shadow. And based on my experience, that's something that is very hard to cope with. That made it really hard for me to have a personal relationship with God, because anything that I knew about God was whatever my parents showed me, which is great, which is good. But it gets to a certain point where you need to understand that it's the God you believe in is not your parents' God, but it's your God. You have to make it personal. That's the first thing. The second thing is the pressure, because when you have a lack of identity, it leads to feeling that pressure, the expectation of the people, especially in church, because, and first, I'm the firstborn, so it's more pressure because you have a whole team behind you. Everybody's looking up to you to be the model, to be a good example. So besides being the PK, you're also the firstborn. And you have people at church that when they see you do normal things that kids of your age do, they will be saying things like, oh, now you be mana pastel. Ah. So things like that used to really upset me because I felt like I could not live my childhood fully. And I started being irritated and I wanted to revenge. So I started doing things just because I was upset, and seeing that your friends can go to birthday parties, they can do all those normal stuff. And then for you, it's kind of a no-no because that doesn't know the family, doesn't know the parents. He wants to make sure that you're following God's way and you're doing what the Bible says. So all of that just puts so much pressure on you. Everything has to be perfect. When you go to school, you have to get good grades. You have to behave well at school. Don't do the crazy stuff that other kids do. So all of that just made it hard. It made it hard for me. And I really had to understand first who I am and then accept who I am to be able to thrive. Even though you go through all that, but there's always a way to overcome those pressure, those situations. Um, Getting to know God for yourself, having a personal relationship with God will actually help you to identify who you are. And once you identify who you are and who God is for you, even those pressure will not have a big impact on you anymore. And my experience, I had to build that personal relationship with God. I had to get to a point where I was not praying to the God of my father or the God of my mother, and I was not doing the things of God just by habit. You know how you get yourself into a place where you just do things by routine. Because you know what I'm talking about. You have been going to church since you were a little kid. All you know is church. You just go to church because you have to go to church, but you don't understand why you need to go to church. You do all those things just because you've been doing them since you were a kid. But it gets to a point where if you don't understand why you're doing those things, it will be hard for you to keep up, and then you will just start hating those things. So I had to really sit down and ask myself, why am I doing this? Why am I serving the Lord? why am I a child of God? What is my purpose? And I understood that I was a child of God. I was saved to save others, and it was a privilege. That's when I understood that it wasn't a curse, it wasn't a bad thing to be a PK, but somehow it was a privilege. And not just being a PK, but being a child of God, because that's what is more important. Being a PK is just a plus because you are 24 hours 7 exposed to the things of God. And that's a privilege. That's how I see it today. But once I understood all those things, then I was able to thrive, and I did not feel the pressure anymore. And then I wanted to be who God wanted me to be, not what people were expecting me to be. And I did not feel the pressure anymore. You might wonder why I'm doing this. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to reach out to those kids or PKs or whoever you are, but you feel like maybe you don't have an identity, or you feel like your life is entirely based on your parents or other people. I just want to reach out to you. I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know that other people are going through those kind of things, and there is a way for you to get out of it, because this is something I wish I had while I was going through those things, but I had to learn those things for myself. And then one thing I just want to say and encourage you is to get to know who God is for yourself, not through your parents, not through your mom, your dad. What they did for you is good because they showed you the way. But now the continuity of that way is up to you to take it. It's not up to them, because as you grow up, you need to understand why you do things. So I'm just encouraging you to try your best. It's not easy, but try your best to get to know who God is. Read your word, read the word of God, talk to him as a friend, and then accept to hear back from him. And then try to understand what is your purpose on this earth. And once you start figuring out those things, you will be so much happier, and you will just understand that it's okay for me to feel this way. It's okay for me to feel even pressure, but there's a way for me to get out of it. Dad and Mom, I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for me so far, because I know you're still doing things for me. I am sorry for all the troubles that I've caused you, the things that I've done, but I'm really grateful for you. Every time you were patient with me, every time that you prayed for me, every time that you were on your knees for me, and all the things that you've taught me. I have so much things in my mind that you personally taught me, Dad and Mom, that I want to carry on even to my future children. I want to thank everybody for watching. Thank you so much. I will be making more videos like this. I really want to reach out to all the PKs, the firstborns, even the people that grew up in Africa, specifically in Congo, and live here in America. I just want to build that community where we can actually talk about some of those issues. And I just thank you guys, and expect more. See you next time.